Hey guys, this is just one guy, and today I'm here to talk to you about AI. And what I want to discuss is why actual AI will never exist. And this is something I don't think most people think about. Now, today I was looking at the Tesla robot, and personally I think it's pretty stupid. I think a lot of Elon Musk technologies are stupid, but I'm not going to go over that in this video. I'm going to go over that in another video. Today, I just want to talk to you about AI and why it won't actually exist. Now, the first thing we have to talk about is what AI is and what it's not. Most people have a misconception of AI being something we use now, like something Amazon would use to determine like your shopping habits or something like that. And that's partially true, but not fully true. That's a limited form of AI. It's not true AI where the computer can actually, or the program can actually think for itself. It's just a program running it within parameters. It might use something like a neural network, but it's not actually thinking for itself. And that's the core problem of why AI would never exist. And the first thing I want to go into is that AI has no use case. Now, you might say it might be useful for a bunch of things, but as a programmer, you quickly, especially as a video game programmer, because video games would be the only place where you would possibly want AI to exist. When you design a program, you design it for a specific purpose. Nobody sits down and design a program to think for itself. If you had a program to calculate the price of stocks, you wouldn't want it to suddenly come up with the answer blue because it thought of that. In most programs, you don't want unpredictable actions. In video games, you might want some unpredictable behavior and random behavior, but you don't want completely unpredictable and random behavior. And that's the problem with AI. If AI were to exist, it would be able to think for itself and do something that the programmer didn't intend it to do. And that gives it no use case. In video games, you want the AI or the NPCs to act in a very predictable manner. As a player, it might seem like they're doing stuff diverse, but they're actually running in the constraints of a program. To give you an example, if you were to hook an actual AI up to an NPC, you wouldn't want the NPC to just go flying off into the wind and not interact with a player. And frankly, that's what the AI would do if it did exist. If you had a game where the NPC was the AI and the player went around killing all the NPCs, the NPC would just run away. Why wouldn't it do that? Why would it fight the player? And that's the kind of behavior that you just wouldn't want. And as you get into other programs that are not video games, that are not entertainment, you will want unpredictability behavior even less. And I see this a lot in movies, but a lot of times in movies, they just design things in a really dumb manner. Just to give an example, in Terminator, they created, was it Skynet? And then they just hooked it up to all the nuclear missiles without testing it, without giving it an actual purpose. I'm not even sure what the purpose of Skynet was, because I can't imagine a scenario where you would want a computer to randomly launch nukes without human consent at first. I assume it was supposed to predict a threat, but what type of threat would it predict? It would need to launch nuclear missiles immediately without any human consent. It's just designed in a very stupid way, in which I can't imagine a person actually sitting down and designing a program. Now, it's not that humans can't design AI, it's just that there's no profit or reason to ever make AI. Because even in this case with the Tesla bot, you wouldn't hook actual AI up to it because it has a specific purpose, as Elon says, to do jobs that humans won't do, which you wouldn't want an AI for that. You would want some type of reasonable program that we already have for that. If this, then do this, which is the basis of all programs. If this scenario happens, do this. You never want the program to think for itself. And I just wanted to talk about that today because I found it interesting that so many billionaires and celebrities talking about AI will exist and that we need to be careful. And as a programmer, the first thing I always think is, who would ever design the AI? For what purpose? Amazon doesn't want an AI. Amazon just wants to predict what you're going to buy next so they can sell it to you. They don't want a program to think for itself. The military doesn't want AI because they just want something to predict your behavior. They don't want anything to actually think for itself. And the few scenarios where I can imagine AI actually existing, you wouldn't want it there either. Like I was thinking, maybe you would want it in something like a sex robot. But then, even then, you want the AI to give. You want the sex robot to give planned responses. You don't want it to say random things. You don't want it to say something insulting while you're having sex with it, which is why you wouldn't put an AI in that scenario. And then it's funny, in the movies, it points out this very thing because they create AI for a specific purpose and then it just goes off and does something completely unexpected and random. And that's always the problem in the movies. But in real life, when people create things, they create things for a specific purpose. Nobody creates something that can think for itself or just to create things. Humans just don't work that way. And most of the time when humans create something, it's for profit. And it's certainly going to be like that with something like AI, because that would take a multitude of people to create. No company is going to sit down and create a program that could think for itself without a use case scenario, because there's no profit in it. And individuals wouldn't do that, again, because it's just a giant waste of time. There's no use case. And that's kind of the core of everything, is that there's just no use case to create AI, which is why I think it's funny that everybody's warning against it. What we have now are programs that have neural networks in it. If you look at the basis of anything they call AI, the code to actually run it is actually online. Mostly what they do is they just have more complicated computers that can run thousands of simulations at the same time, and they have access to hardware that you don't, like billions of servers they could just run in parallel to run a neural network over and over again. But the algorithms are the same. They're publicly available. They're just not useful for anything other than sorting data. Anyway, I just wanted to go over that because I thought it was funny when I saw the Tesla robot. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching.